Hey, what's going on YouTube? What's happening, guys? In today's video, I wanted to talk about influencer marketing. We're going to be checking out this article from The Guardian, and we're going to be meeting the man who runs an ice cream truck that makes influencers pay double. Kind of a funny story behind that. I think this is an interesting topic. Influencer marketing is a really hot form of marketing right now. It's really popular. We're always hearing about it in the media. Influencer marketing has changed a lot between, say, 2015 and today. The strategies that worked are completely different. I don't want to say it's saturated, but back in 2015, people weren't really savvy to it, so it was a lot easier to do. And kind of the methods of doing it have changed a lot over the years. We're going to be talking a little bit about that. I was meaning to make another video talking about influencer marketing and kind of how it's changed over the years. I was at IRCE and Retail X last week here in Chicago, and I sat in on a keynote about influencer marketing. And the guy who gave the keynote, I'll have to refer to my notes to get his name, but he's been on kind of every side of it. He started off hiring influencers. He eventually became an influencer himself. He started an agency to manage influencers. He's consulted companies on hiring influencers. So he's kind of been involved in it from every angle, and he's also kind of seen the evolution of influencer marketing over the years. Just kind of an interesting commentary or thought that I had about influencer marketing. And I know I've said, here we're kind of talking about how it's overpriced and a lot of influencers kind of have big heads and things like that. But I've also made videos talking about how I think influencer marketing is one of the most underutilized and one of the cheapest forms of marketing. So how can it be both, right? And I do think that's true. I think influencer marketing can be one of the most overpriced, biggest wastes of money. But I also think influencer marketing offers some of the best bang for your buck in terms of getting the most reach for the least amount of money, one of the most effective ways of marketing. And when it really comes down to it, back in the 80s or 90s when Michael Jordan was on a Wheaties box, even going back far before that, we've always had influencers. It's just in the past, influencers were celebrities, athletes, movie stars, musicians. And now really anybody who is knowledgeable about a certain niche, anybody who has any pull within a certain community is an influencer. Literally anybody can be an influencer these days. So it's been kind of an interesting transition, and we'll read this article. I actually haven't given it a full read myself yet, but essentially, I think I perused it the other day. Essentially, what this guy's beef is, or why he's doing this, and obviously it's a genius marketing ploy because it's gotten his ice cream truck a lot of attention. But he has a lot of influencers who come up to his ice cream truck and are like, "Hey, can I get a free ice cream? I'll take a picture next to your truck," or "Hey, can I get a free ice cream? I'll tweet out that I ate ice cream here." And I forget the word he used. He said. We'll read it in a minute, but he says something about, people say, it's going to get me all this exposure. That's what it was, exposure. And, really, if you're in California and you post an ice cream truck in California, outside of people in that very, very small regional area, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to be selling ice creams to somebody in New York or even somebody 2 towns away. And kind of just my experience with influencer marketing, there's a lot of influencers who have big heads and think they're worth a whole lot more than they are. But there's also a lot of influencers out there who have a ton of pull, a good size audience, a very engaged audience, but who haven't figured out how to monetize their audience. And so there can also be huge bargains in the influencer marketing space. One of my clients that I'm working with, we're one of the bigger, like if you were to name the top 5 businesses or sites within this particular niche, which is a pretty big niche, I would say we run a number of different properties. I would say we have at least 1 or 2 properties within the top 5. We're definitely not going to be top 1 or 2, maybe not top 3, but I think one of our stores would be either number 4 or number 5. So we're a pretty well-known shop, and I've reached out to different influencers, sometimes even just our customers who have social media profiles, and been like, "Hey, can I send you some free stuff? Can I send you some samples?" And I've had a number of people like reply back to me like very snarkily, like, "I'm very well paid for the product spots that I do. I'm not going to do anything for a free product." And I didn't even necessarily say in return for a post or in return for anything. I was just like, "Hey, can I send you some?" A lot of times it's worth it if it doesn't cost you a ton of money just to send free stuff out to people. With the chance that they'll wind up mentioning it or something like that, can actually be a pretty effective strategy. So it's not as if I was like, "Hey, let me get 3 YouTube videos and an Instagram post. I'm going to send you, $25 worth of free. I was just going to send someone free stuff. If they want to do something with it, so be it. But I've noticed a lot of influencers kind of have these big heads. I also recently got contacted by younger kid, like probably like late teens, and he wanted $300 to $400 worth of product in return for a post on his Instagram. And I looked at his Instagram account, and he had a lot of followers. You know, he probably had, I don't know, 80,000 followers or something like that. But I looked at his posting history, and he'd only posted like 6 things, which, 6 posts on his account, which kind of leads me to believe like they were bot followers or something like that. But this is something I run into a lot, and I see a lot of people who have like no following, or they have a big following but no engagement, and they just kind of hit you up and they're like, hey, I want $500 worth of stuff, or I want this free stuff, and I'll post something. And a lot of times it's almost kind of laughable. It's like, dude, look at your audience, man. It's like, it's just the value isn't there. Like, I might send you some free samples, I might send you a cheaper free product, but I'm not sending you $500 or $1,000 worth of stuff based on the engagement and the size of your audience. It just doesn't make sense. But I would love to hear your guys' kind of experiences with influencer marketing. Those of you guys who are influencers, as well as those of you who hire influencers. From this keynote, and again, let me know if you guys are interested. I'll make a full video on this topic. But back in 2015, influencer marketing was have influencer post a picture of product, watch the money roll in. Things have changed. Everybody's an influencer. I think customers are kind of savvy to the fact that everything is a paid or sponsored post these days. And so in order for influencer marketing to be effective, one of the things this gentleman said, and I'm sure somebody's going to say, oh, well, that's not true. I paid an influencer one time and it worked. But one of the things that this gentleman said was you can't do a one-off post. Just having an influencer post one thing and then kind of dropping the campaign after that is just not going to work these days. We hear in advertising people need to see something 3 times, 7 times, 14 times before it finally sinks in or before they buy. And I think the same is true of influencer marketing. Most successful influencer marketing these days is ongoing campaigns. It's not a one-off, hey, mention this and then we'll part ways and never do anything again and the money's going to roll in. It's not going to work that way. Most things are ongoing campaigns, almost to the point where the influencer, in a way, kind of becomes the face of your brand or becomes associated with your brand. And I wish I could remember this guy's name who gave this talk. He actually did a video with Logan Paul. He had a sock company, and you guys might be able to find him pretty easily. I remember a while back he came out with Birkin socks, and it was basically a sock that looked like a barefoot wearing Birkenstocks, and they made these like really funny videos. And he did this influencer thing with Logan Paul, where I think he was making a special edition sock for Logan Paul, and Logan Paul made kind of like a vlog style video, and he was like, I talked to Bradley. His guy's name wasn't Bradley, but whatever. I talked to Bradley here, and Bradley bet me he couldn't. Bradley bet me you guys wouldn't buy 20 grand worth of socks. And I told him I could definitely sell 20 grand worth of socks or 20,000 socks, whatever it was. And this guy happened to have a nice car, and he was like, he told me that if I sold $20,000 worth of socks, he'd give me his car. And I think it was like a Porsche or Ferrari or whatever else. And I think Logan Paul wound up selling 18 or 19 grand worth of socks, or 18 or 19,000 pairs of socks. Fell short of the 20, so he didn't get the car. But that was something that came off as very authentic. And it was kind of an ongoing relationship and an ongoing campaign that they had. Another thing that kind of popped up was it has to be authentic, right? Just having some random influencer say, hey, buy this product, or hey, here's this product, it doesn't really work. It has to be, the relationship or the product has to make sense. If I have a channel about video gaming and I'm posting pre-workouts on my video game channel, like there's kind of a disconnect there unless I'm also into fitness. If I'm into fitness and I'm posting home decor type thing, it just doesn't jive. So the actual product of the company and the relationship with the influencer should be one that's authentic and makes sense. Ideally, the influencer either uses your product already, or at the very least is somebody who would be a user of your product. If it's not something that they truly believe in or something that they would truly use, I think the audience kind of sees through that. And then the other thing is keep it authentic and let the influencer kind of do what they do. And I thought this was one of the biggest gems out of this. And I realized we're supposed to be talking about the ice cream truck that charges people double, and I've gone off on a little bit of a rant here. But what I wanted to, one very, very important point is the reason you want to hire an influencer is the connection and the engagement that they have in with their audience. The reason you want to hire them is because you like what they're doing. So when you come in and try to take over and control the campaign, you're paying an influencer to use their name, because you like what they do, but you're kind of taking what they do out of the equation entirely and trying to plug in what you want them to say or what you want them to do. And kind of a perfect example of this, and they showed screenshots, and if I make a follow-up video, if you guys want to see it, I'll find these screenshots. But what toilet paper company was it? One of the toilet paper companies, Charmin or something like that, was doing a campaign with a bunch of NBA players, and they did a couple things right. They got a bunch of different NBA players involved, and they kind of created this like beef. And I don't follow basketball, so I'll probably botch the players' names, but Draymond, whatever, Draymond Green or whoever, some big basketball player is, he tweeted like, "Yo, so and so, your trophy case is empty. You haven't won any championships. Maybe you should fill it with hashtag Charmin toilet paper." And then this other guy who he called out was like, "Your game is doo-doo. I think you need to wipe your butt with some Charmin toilet paper." And then, all these other NBA players are like chiming in, tweeting in. And the social media reaction to this was hilarious because people were like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is so staged. This is such bullshit. This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen." Social media, and I think it was specifically the Twitter sphere, but social media as a whole, like, was totally shitting on like all the players involved in this, as well as like Charmin, and especially Charmin since they're the one that put it together. But it was like, it was so transparent. It was so see-through. It wasn't authentic at all. And people are like, "Really, you want us to buy toilet paper over some NB?" Like, it just didn't jive. And so I guess one of the kind of takeaways from that discussion was like, look, if you're going to hire an influencer, yeah, you maybe want to have some control over your brand image and what's being said. You might not want them to do something like vulgar or something like that. But like outside of that, you're paying them for a reason. You selected them for a reason. Like, let them do what they're going to do and kind of take a step back. Anyhow, so almost 12 minutes in, we'll finally dive into the topic that this video is always about. Typical of me, right? So the article from the Guardian is titled "We're Anti-Influencer. Ice Cream Truck Makes Instagram Stars Pay Double." Joe Nietzsche has had enough of self-proclaimed influencers wanting free cones for publicity. Now he's the one going viral. Customers at Joe Nietzsche's ice cream truck have increasingly had the same demand. "Give us your ice cream for free." CVT Soft Serve, a popular truck in Los Angeles, has started to receive weekly requests from self-proclaimed Instagram influencers who promise to post a photo of Nietzsche's ice cream if they don't have to pay. Nietzsche has always said no, but this week he found an unusual way to profit off the influencers. He publicly told them to go away. Nietzsche went viral after posting a sign that said "Influencers pay double." Writing on Instagram that he would never give you a free ice cream in exchange for a post, the image tagged "Influencers are gross" spread around the globe, and now Nietzsche said his business is booming, attracting fans across Southern California who share his disdain of influencers. "We're the anti-influencers," he told The Guardian on Wednesday. "It's weird, but I think it's really fun. I hope it inspires small businesses to hold their own and tell people to fuck off." I like his attitude. Some brands and businesses now rely on Instagram quote-unquote stars to advertise their products and services, giving away free meals and hotel stays to people who post positively about the experience. The phenomenon has become so persuasive that Instagrammers can easily scam companies. One Instagram influencer recently staged a surprise wedding engagement, but had actually sent an itinerary to marketers months prior. It's so trendy to be an influencer that some people have taken to pretending their content is sponsored. And I actually covered that story a while back. I believe it was from The Guardian. I'll link to this story, and if you want to follow along to that, you can. But basically, the gist of that story was a lot of the influencers that you see posting, like, "Oh, I really love this product. I really love this ice cream. I really love this lotion." They didn't get anything for free, and they're not working with the brand. They're buying this stuff with their own money, pretending they're sponsored, I guess to make themselves more important, as well as to kind of maybe do the whole kind of fake it till you make it. Like if this brand sees that this other brand is sponsoring me and giving me free stuff, maybe they'll be more likely to want to work with me, or maybe it'll seem like I have more influence. So that was an interesting article. What the heck? I'll link to both of them below. Nietzsche, who understands the importance of promotion, he's a working actor in LA who started CVT Soft Serve in 2014 as a way to supplement his income. "This is a money-making thing. I can't give away my ice cream for free," he said, noting that he has paid for his truck with his salary from shooting a commercial. The soft serve at CVT, which stands for his 3 flavor offerings, chocolate, vanilla, and twist, and his vintage-looking truck are very Instagrammable. Influencers quickly noticed in his first year he got a small handful of influencer offers. Typically people emailing suggestions emailing suggesting promotional deals in exchange for free ice cream. They love using the word exposure. It's so ridiculous, he said. And here's an Instagram post of his ice cream. But the frequency of the requests began to escalate and became more uncomfortable as they started happening in person, said Nietzsche. The most painful thing for me is when they approached the truck. It never made sense to him. Are you out of your mind? This is $4, but obviously they wouldn't be asking if people weren't saying yes. At times the requests were particularly offensive. He said an instance to a famous actor, a woman on a television show who he declined to name, recently asked if he would donate ice cream to the cast and crew. In exchange, the actor offered to take a photo at his truck. His response, as much as I'd love to do that, I don't think my kid's school accepts celebrity photos as a form of tuition payment. I like that response. The assistant responded with a nasty and vaguely threatening message. He said along the lines of, I should be careful with my words, this is a very small town. Nietzsche eventually became so tired of influencers that he put up his anti-influencer sign at his truck, making clear that people who requested a free cone would get the opposite. They'd have to pay $8 instead of $4. A customer took a photo and posted it to Reddit, which then went viral. He has since gotten interview requests and news coverage from across the world, and he's loving it. The number of customers doubled overnight, and he has earned thousands of new followers on Instagram. There's something so redeeming outing influencers, he said, adding that many small businesses have written to him thanking him for speaking up. I hope that more people do not allow likes and comments and followers to hold weight in the business. I want people to go to a restaurant because the food and service is fantastic. Brittany Hennessy, an author who has written about influencers, said companies with marketing budgets can benefit from working with social media personalities, and that a giveaway can pay off, but a small food truck may not be a good fit, she said. People will try to get anything for free. No real influencer would ask for a $4 ice cream. While Nietzsche is happy to promote his own business on social media, he said he didn't want to depend on the platform. If Instagram went away tomorrow, our truck would still survive. I don't know that your influencer business would. Nietzsche offered to let The Guardian try his ice cream under one condition, that the reporter pay for the cone. So it looks like that is the end of the article. I've never seen this before. Reuse this content. Let's see what that is. Before completing the form, check out. Okay, so I guess if you, this is kind of interesting. A lot of people just post and reuse. I'm getting off on a total tangent here. A lot of people post and just reuse people's content. And what's kind of neat here is it seems like The Guardian will allow you to license or use their content on your blog, as long as I'm guessing you kind of link back to them. Yeah, what do you guys think about this story? Have any of you guys experienced influencers contacting you getting free stuff? Do you reach out to companies trying to get free stuff? Any comments or anything that you guys have to add, I would love to hear. Go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.